There's some people in the world that are so wealthy that effectively everything is free for them. They can go and do what they want. They can eat pretty much anything that they desire. They have planes and cars and trains to be and go and do whatever it is that they'd like to do. And while I'm not interested in having so much money that I can own islands or parts of a country or a whole country, I am interested in owning a plot of land, a home, and enough money to go on the occasional vacation, maybe a couple of weeks a year. That'd be nice. And to get even that small, modest amount of money, there are lessons from the uber elite, the rich of the rich, that we can learn from. And today, I will outline one of those lessons, something that has been sitting in plain sight for all with the eyes to see it. There are some people in the world that got super lucky when they were born into the world. When their character sheet was generated, they got all 20s when the die were rolled. They got everything. They got the charisma. Well, maybe not the charisma, but they got the money. They got the looks. Well, maybe not the looks, but they got the money. They at least got that, the 20 on that part. So they got their bags filled with gold right out the gate. And there was really nothing that they had to do or say or be a part of for that to happen. They just had the right parents. And I know that it's not most of the world. Most of the world is not super wealthy. That's just how math works. So it is my opinion that most people don't actually want a Lambo sitting in the driveway, don't actually want a 300-room mansion that is on a private island. And there are some people that think that that's the absolute pinnacle of humanity, but I think that most people would be absolutely happy living a more modest lifestyle. The problem is that when we live in a world, and we do, where the money is fundamentally broken, then only some people, the people that are closest to the money printing spigot, are able to afford those absolute luxuries. The things that shouldn't even be considered luxuries, like food and decent housing and maybe the occasional vacation. Most people are not asking for the moon. They just want a small slice of cheese. And that, for many people, is very challenging to get. If you are super wealthy, then you almost certainly have access to things that people like you and I probably don't have access to. I can only speak for myself, obviously. And I don't have access to a lot of things that the super wealthy do. Actually, I probably don't have access to any of them. I sleep in a regular hotel room when I do go on a trip. I have a regular car. I don't get preferential treatment anywhere that I go, at least not to my knowledge. So when it comes to the world of investing and getting in on this deal and, oh, hey, did you know about this? No, I didn't know about that because I'm not part of those groups that would know about that. I don't know anything until it finally hits the news. And by the time it hits the news, the big players have already bought up all the decent shares of whatever it is we're talking about here. When the big players make moves, we, the rest of the world, don't know about it until sometimes weeks, months, maybe even years later. You might be wondering about self-custody. You might be wondering how to get your business set up. You might be wondering, how in the world do I know that the Bitcoin that I have is mine? And how can I be sure, because I've heard about exchanges and this and that? How can I know that the Bitcoin that I've purchased is actually in my control? It doesn't matter what your question is. Schedule that free 30-minute call and get anything that you've been wondering about Bitcoin answered. This is the lesson, right here in plain sight. Mr. Michael the Chad Saylor has been making these purchases. Now, I understand it's not him, it's not his personal purchases, but he is one of the head people at MicroStrategy. As of 9/24/23, MicroStrategy holds 158,245 Bitcoins, acquired for roughly just a ballpark $4.68 billion at an average price of $29,582 per Bitcoin. Now, the reason it's so important to understand that the uber rich and people like myself and very possibly you purchase Bitcoin at the same price is because this is not true for many other things. Do you think that the uber rich pay the price for gold that you and I pay? Do you think that they pay the same price for land that you and I pay? Do you think that it pays the same price for houses that you and I pay? The uber rich of the world get special privileged access to gold, land, homes, pretty much anything that they want, but not Bitcoin. I'm not talking about striking some sort of wackadoo deal with your buddy because you've got some special edition Lego sets that you're going to add in there, and so he's going to give you a Bitcoin for 2 Lego sets and $13 and a coupon for Chipotle. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you've got $50 and Michael Saylor or somebody else, Bob the Billionaire, and you both have $50 and you both want to buy some Bitcoin. If you go to an exchange, the price that you're going to pay is, as of this recording, $26,200 and change. It doesn't matter that Bob the Billionaire has has $1 billion. He's going to pay the same price that you're going to pay. But that isn't true of almost anything else. This is the lesson here. If Michael Saylor is willing to purchase 158,000 of these things, then maybe, I'm not going to tell you what you should do with your money, but maybe it would at least be a good idea to look into why he's doing that. If he's willing to put that kind of money into it, then maybe it's a good idea for you also to look into. Preston Pish here says, MicroStrategy is so risk adverse, they just keep buying Bitcoin. And Eric Weiss says, phew. And then down here, we've got, there is no exit strategy. Bitcoin, it's not an exit strategy. It's not a plan. It's not, oh, we're going to invest in this popcorn token over here because we see that there's a problem, and if we have a bunch of money in popcorn token, then we can sell out, and that's the exit strategy. No. It's not an exit strategy. It is the strategy. It is the end. I put a tweet out recently that said, Bitcoin is not a means to an end. It is the end. A lot of people get into stocks or bonds or treasury or real estate or this or that. They get into these different investments so that they can get a profit. They can have a good ROI, return on investment. They put $5 in, hoping that sometime in the not so distant future, they can get $10 out. The best investment that you could ever possibly do is I put $1 into Chapstick stock and boom, Chapstick is now worth $1 million, and no inflation. It's just everybody wants that chapstick. So now I can sell it for $1 million and I can go sailing off into the sunset. Yay, I made all my chapstick money. I guess that would be a good idea, but that is an exit strategy. That would be the chapstick exit strategy. But Bitcoin is not the exit strategy. The plan for Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy and anybody else that truly understands Bitcoin isn't to buy Bitcoin to then sell later on. No. You would purchase a piece of this and then never sell it. If you owned all the land, then everybody that's building on your land is going to be paying you rent. You're going to be making money for owning the underlying thing, the asset that is under all of the infrastructure built on top of it. So if there's a whole new world, a whole new monetary system coming, built on Bitcoin, it might be a good idea to have a piece of that new digital landscape. If this wasn't enough to convince you that the super wealthy of the world have access to things that you might not, then check out this video here, where I talk about the $17.7 trillion in assets under management that is coming to take your Bitcoin.